There are two major conscious decisions you are making with everything you're doing as a marketer. One is UI, that's the user interface, or the CI, the consumer interface, and one is UX, the user experience or the consumer experience. And those are very two different disciplines and should be considered in every single decision that you're making. It doesn't matter if it's something as simple as sending out an email or something as complex as AI on your website, right? So the UI, just for those that you may not know, is just tactically, how is the experience being used? Let's use a website for an example. Do I navigate across the top? Is there a hamburger that I've got to click? Is there a lot of navigation for me to run through? You know, if I'm scrolling through, am I finding different CTAs, you know, different calls to action? That's the UI. How do I tactically use an experience? And it should be very simple, right? You should not have to look for the acquisition, right? So it's like if someone's willing right now to apply or buy, that should be very easy to find in the UI. The UX, the actual experience, is how the person feels about it. Like, oh gosh, how did they know that's exactly what I was thinking? How did they send that perfect email at that certain time? You know, how is it that just when I was thinking about calling them back, I got, you know, a text, you know, requesting exactly what I was going to ask about. So the UX is the most critical thing to loyalty. You know, we're looking at the experience being just as sort of brand definitive. There's a lot of design thinking in borrowers today, and that is where the experience comes into play, and it's a true differentiator.
You have to make sure that you're keeping track of what's being deployed and how your brand is being messaged, and you can't just assume, like I said, there's static ads. You have to stay on top of it. It's worth it when you are building out a marketing channel for customer acquisition and you're putting significant dollars in budget, that you want to make sure that you have not only technology monitoring it, but humans on your team that are putting time and effort into making sure that your brand is being represented properly.
Put yourself in the consumer's shoes. So for us, we deploy this financial fitness app. It's a white label solution for our lender client. Before a loan officer, you know, deploys our app and starts to engage and attract consumers, we strongly recommend, suggest, require that they download the app and actually create an account and understand the experience. Does two things, right? It does two things. And I think this should also apply in the lending space. If you work for a mortgage company and you're a loan officer, or you're a processor, or you're an underwriter, or you're in marketing, right? When you get a mortgage or refinance or buy a new home, I'm hoping you're going through your own company to understand what your consumers go through. And so we really stress that our client, the lender, goes through the process of creating this app and understanding all the experience that their consumers are going to go through, because it is their brand at the end of the day that's represented by this technology. And I would say in the lending context, that could be the same for point of sale or any other consumer facing technology that's representing that lender and their brand with those consumers.
If you're going to try do different business process like that, you got to benchmark it, and you got to listen and feel really good about, hey, this is really going to implement, it's going to increase our conversion rate, but it's going to make consumers feel a lot better on who they're doing business with, because we're proving to them that we're making that UE better, even though we're using this cool tech, but we're making this more modern, we're making it a better way for them to interact with us. But you got to benchmark it, you got to track it, and you got to use, it's not just like data and analytics, it's good old school going through it, going through the scripting and modeling and mapping it out to really listen back to what the consumer is saying. Because I think, to Brian's point, it's not a build it, you come, it's not just making the assumptions. You got to listen to what they're saying. You got to. And not just doing it through AI, voice recognition. You got to actually go through and listen to it yourself multiple times, especially in the beginning of something new like that. It's one of the issues that we're dealing with right now with the FCC and the notice of proposed rulemaking changes, that we as an industry have done a really crappy job with handling consumer experience. I think
Because it's a
10
greedy
years ago,
industry. It's a greedy industry. Close that
it
loop.
is. It is. It is. And I'm not throwing any one specific company under the bus. I think the whole industry has done a horrible job in multiple verticals, whether you're in consumer finance, whether you're insurance, home services. I think it's been very greed focused. And I get it. I understand the bottom line. I think, though, that what the FCC is telling us is that this isn't going to work anymore. We can't just put a bunch of different brands on a marketing partners list and just swap out data and just let everybody contact her. So when you're looking at feedback loop, it's going to get back. I think we've got to get back to the basics. We got to get back to what they're actually looking for. Are they transacting? Do they really value the information and content?
I think the most important thing is you need to fail fast. I mean, everybody, no one's going to create these things in a vacuum, put them out there, and then listening is the measurement, right? So if someone hits the back button, that is listening. Why was this page not sticky? Why was the average time on page 3 seconds, right? So that is the listening, and be sure that you're only releasing one experience at a time. So don't release a new brand and a new navigation and throw AI on there and, have texting capabilities and wonder what went wrong, right? You got to release this stuff. And then with each edition that you release, that's the failing fast. You'll find exactly where it is and then either pull that back or pump that up. All this, it's when we try to teach people our product, if it is like life insurance, or certainly if it's something as complex as mortgage, we don't want to talk about or lead the conversation with, this is what a conforming loan is, or maybe you should have an FHA, or, do you think that you need a jumbo loan? Well, you lost me at, I need a house, and who do I talk to, So this is the new language of mortgage, is very exciting because Joy's exactly right. It's been an absolutely terrible marketing experience. And so the UX has been, that's been the complaint, but it also used to be a very opaque product where there was a man behind a curtain and you would just go, where do I fax the pages, right? Just to Never Land. You're like, I'll just send you my whole life without question, right? And today that's not the case. We're grabbing a lot of this stuff digitally, verifying it instantly. People know they have options. They know they can quickly get out of them.
What's been fascinating is to watch these finfluencers, these financial influencers, talk about kind of holistic financial fitness and literacy and credit monitoring and understanding budgeting and other financial kind of tools as a way to widen the funnel, get people to engage, download this app with their brand on it. And what we do right away when someone downloads the app is we ask a simple question: where are you on your homeownership journey?
There's a lot of data enrichment or signal modeling that you can use now that makes it a little bit easier to look within your data warehouse versus, like you said, going out and trying to compete and acquire a new customer on one of the first party media platforms.